An ester is a molecule that has a carbonyl carbon, so a C double bond O carbon, and that carbonyl carbon also has a single bond to an alkyl group, a single bond to an oxygen, and that oxygen has a single bond to an alkyl group. Now, when you're looking at an ester to begin naming it, it sometimes catches you a bit off guard because often you can have two long alkyl chains that you're looking at, and you might hesitate or be unsure if you're picking the right one for the parent structure. So it's important to know that you're always going to include that carbonyl carbon, the C double bond O, in your parent structure. The other part of the ester is going to be named more like a substituent, and you'll see this when I go through the exact steps for the naming. So let's get started. We'll learn how to name acyclic esters that just have one ester functional group. So we'll follow these steps. First, we're going to, of course, name the parent structure, the longest alkyl chain that you can find that includes the carbonyl carbon, that C double bond O. I can't stress this enough because esters are a little bit confusing. You've got to include that C double bond O carbon. So let's jump right down to the example. Here is our carbonyl carbon right there. And so we are going to include this alkyl part as our parent structure. This one over here is not part of the parent structure. That'll get named later. So how many carbons was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, of course, it's a hexane, just like every other example that we've done so far, I think. So hexane. And then we're going to drop that E and we're going to add the ending O8, O-A-T-E. So drop the E and then we get X and O8. It's going to move this hexane over here. If we had any other substituents on that parent structure, we would name them and then give them locants based on this carbonyl C double bond O carbon being number 1. Finally, we're going to name the other side of the ester, that other alkyl part, sort of like a substituent. And then we're going to place it at the very beginning of the name. So let me circle it here. I'm going to circle it in green. And that is a 1 carbon substituent. So it's a methyl. Now, to really distinguish this alkyl group and let the reader know that it is part of the ester functional group and not just some other substituent, we're going to place it at the very beginning of the name and leave a space. So methyl space hexanoate. Now, the fact that there's a space is very important. That is what communicates that the methyl group is part of the ester functional group. Spaces are only used in very specific scenarios in IUPAC nomenclature, and this is one of them. So methyl space hexanoate, we don't have to put the number 1 in for our ester functional group, even though we know it's on locant 1. It's understood. It terminates the chain just like all the other examples before this, and so we can leave that 1 out. If we've got 2 ester functional groups, we follow a very similar set of steps. We're going to name the parent structure, and we're going to include the carbonyl carbons in that parent structure. Put an S here, carbons. And so look what we've got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including both of those carbonyl carbons. So this would be a hexane. And then the ending is di-O8. We don't have to drop the E. Hexane, di-O8. Now, to name the alkyl parts of this diester, so the alkyl groups that are on the other side of that oxygen, if they were identical, we would name it as a dialkyl substituent, then put a space, and then put our full name, hexane dioate, but they're not identical in this case. We have got an ethyl group here and a methyl group here. So in this case, we're going to put them separately with spaces in front of the name of the compound. So we're also going to put them in alphabetical order. So E is before M. So this is going to be ethyl space methyl space hexane dioate. And so that ethyl space methyl space is what signifies that the ethyl and methyl belong to the ester functional group. So when I was recording this section, I accidentally totally skipped the next page. So you will have to look at this lovely still frame of my face while I explain to you how to name molecules where you've got more than 2 ester functional groups, or the carbonyl of the ester functional group is bonded to a ring. And just like many of the functional groups we've seen before this, the carbonyl carbon in these cases is not counted in the parent structure. Then we are going to use the ending carboxylate. So for this compound, as the example, we've got a cyclopentane ring, and then the carbonyl carbon here is outside of the parent structure, but it's still the principal functional group. So this would be cyclopentane carboxylate. And then we will name the alkyl part of the ester again like a substituent, but we'll separate it with that space to distinguish it from any other substituents and let whoever's reading it know that it is part of the ester functional group. So we've got a methyl on this one. So we will just put methyl space cyclopentane carboxylate. If the ester is not the principal functional group in the molecule, so there's something else there that's more important, like a carboxylic acid, we will use the prefix alkoxycarbonyl. The alk gets changed to the prefix for the number of carbon atoms that are on that alkyl part of the ester. So in this example here below, we've got a methyl group on the alkyl part of that ester. So this would be named as a meth oxycarbonyl, because you've got a methyl group, an oxygen here, and then a carbonyl. So meth oxycarbonyl. And so as you can see, this whole group is named as a substituent for methoxycarbonyl cyclohexane carboxylic acid. So a bit of practice with esters would probably do us good to understand all those rules. So here is an ester molecule. And as you can see, upon first glance, you might hesitate and say, oh, which side do I choose for the parent structure? And so my tip is to just highlight that carbonyl carbon right away, the C double bond O carbon. That's going to be part of your parent structure. So we'll follow the chain. 2, 3, 4, and we can go either way here. We get 5. So our parent is a pentane. We'll drop the E and add our ester ending, which is O8. So pentanoate. We'll look for substituents on the parent. So we've got a methyl there. And we can number our parent based on the carbonyl being 1. So that means our methyl is on 4. So it's a 4-methyl substituent. And then the alkyl part of the ester has 1, 2, 3 carbons. So that is a propyl group. So the propyl goes in the very front with a space after it. So propyl space 4-methyl pentanoate. So I'm just going to underline in orange the substituent that's on the parent structure. It's stuck right onto the pentanoate, no space, and that signifies that it's part of the parent structure, whereas the propyl part has a space. before the rest of the name, and that signifies that it's part of the ester functional group. All right, the next example. So right away we find our carbonyl, carbon, C double bond O. So that side, that part is going to be the parent structure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have a triple bond, so that's actually going to be a hexyne. Drop the E and add O8. Hexyne O8 is the parent there. Okay, there's no other substituents on the parent, but we do have to give a locant for the triple bond. Carbonyl is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the triple bond starts on 4. So that means our full parent name is hex 4 ine O8. We still don't have to put the 1 in between the ine and the O8 because it is understood that if you have an ester and just one ester, that it's on the first carbon. So we're allowed to omit it. And then, of course, we need to look at the alkyl part of our ester. So that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons. So that is a pentyl substituent, and we put that in front with a space. Pentyl space hex 4 ine O8.